And then the Protoss goes crying.
So the Protoss player is actually playing completely blind. I was going to talk about how I would have kind of liked to see the tech lab go on the hidden barracks, especially if the Protoss hadn't been able to see the gas yet. But Protoss hasn't even tried to scout, so I guess none of that really matters at all. And we do have a Twilight Council going down, which that early double gas kind of hinted at that kind of play, either Dark Templar or maybe a fast blink all-in, but I think more commonly Dark Templar. It's a build that the OGS team and Huck used to use a lot. MZ and Huck played it a lot a long time ago. I think last summer's DreamHack season it was really popular around there. You would get those two gas really early on.
Oh yeah, and it can be really annoying for the Terran player, you know, the Protoss that has, you know, is really paying a lot of attention to those DTs, keeps them tripping on my words here. Keeps those DTs well spread out inside the base, you know, so outside of scan range, you know, you won't pick up more than one DT per scan. It can be very annoying for the Terran player to deal with, especially if he doesn't already have an eBay up.
And now Believe's going to get his first indication of what may be going on as he sees one Marauder, but he doesn't know the extent of this attack. So he doesn't really know what he's going to have to deal with, but he only has one Stalker right now. He starts a Zealot, but I mean, he's just going to have one Stalker by itself for a long time. His Dark Shrine's only halfway done, which means it has another 2 hours to go before it's finished.
2.5 hours, actually. Every Protoss player knows the feeling of staring at that Dark Shrine while your base is dying. Going, please finish!
Pylon gets denied. Zealot starts taking damage.
Here we go.
Quickly. All of the probes get pulled off, and they're going to be able to help hold this up quite well, but that Marauder's going to see the Dark Shrine, and he's going to kill some probes. And meanwhile, there's still no army for Believe, so everything he's having to do...
Instant eBay.
Economy. A great response. And he doesn't have his Raxes rallied anywhere at all, so there's just going to be units at home. But the Protoss is going to have 2 Nexuses. So it's going to help him recover from this. But I mean, how many probes is he down to right now? 19, 17?
The DTs are going to get in.
Wow.
And the DTs get in. I can't believe he didn't raise the depot.
Oh dear. 2 Dark Templar. He does have scan energy. He just needs to use it.
He does. However,
there it goes.
Only the one Marauder. He's going to get a lot of SCVs, even if those DTs don't... Oh, no? Not that many, actually.
Well.
Wow. No GG, game over. Protoss player knew he had lost too much to come back from that, saw the Terran Expo going down inside the Terran's base. You know, DTs aren't going to be able to stop that. It was game over.
Yep. So that DT expand just not paying off. Turns out DT expand is still weak against 2 racks. There aren't really any shortcuts against 2 racks.
Turns out there is still a counter to every build in the game. You just have to look for it.
And that means balance.
Exactly. Okay, so we're going to hop right in to game number 2. Both players are raring to go. Terran player up 1. We'll see if our Protoss can make a comeback here.
Yep. Cloud Kingdom a pretty good choice for this Protoss. That 2-base Colossus timing is really strong against the Terran who cuts any corners at all, including the not having 4 bunkers or so corner.
So right away, silence. We'll see if we get any good luck, have funds. But I don't think so. I think Killer's probably pretty sour about the no GG. Thinking, how dare you laugh at me as I win.
Tonight's tournament was quite interesting in a lot of respects that way, yeah. It started late. There were a lot of people that didn't show up, and then a bunch of people got added instead. And then There seems to have been a lot of VM going back and forth in the tournament channel itself. So anyone who didn't manage to get out here for this, you missed out a little bit. It was interesting, at least.
Protoss player thrown out. Shout out to Loy. Not sure how to pronounce that, but whoever you are, you have a shout out and someone loves you.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a big thing to dedicate a game to someone, right? Like that has to mean he's really confident going into this. You wouldn't dedicate a game to someone if you expect not to win.
That would just be bad-mannered.
Friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, not friends anymore, are you?
How dare you do a DT timing in my name? You really thought that was gonna work.
Well, hey, if Puzzle can do it against MVP 2 games in a row to knock him out of Code A, it's gotta work sometimes.
I apologize. You know, it's kind of funny how it's always been annoying. I'm like, casters, how do you not notice that you didn't adjust the overlay? And now being in the position of me doing it myself, I'm realizing it's not the easiest thing to just remember it every single time.
Yeah.
So they're not like pylons, man. They're not that easy to remember.
It's true. You got a lot more to think about, too.
Exactly.
I don't know about more than when you're playing, but more than a lot of people think.
Well, and being that it's, you know, my first time casting on stream before, you know, in front of like an actual audience. Yes, I call for an actual audience. Don't judge me.
It's big enough for me.
Yep. I still have my pride.
And we're going to see the same thing.
Yep, Tech Lab.
Wow. Hidden barracks and all. But this time... Oh, wow. Believe did not manage to see the refinery still.
That's so crucial.
Ever so close.
As the Protoss player, to scout both those gases and get out.
I hope he doesn't do the same thing again. He's chrono boosting out a Stalker and he's chrono boosting Warp Gate research though, so that could indicate he's a little bit, he's feeling a little bit nervous that his opponent might do something similar, so he wants to make sure he has more defense in time.
Not enough gas for a sentry yet. I think that's what he's saving up for.
He's going for a Nexus as well, it looks like. So he's going to use that Stalker to just try to put the fear in his opponent a little bit. But, I mean, Killer doesn't really have anything to be afraid of.
Yeah, the fear is going to strike the Protoss right now, in fact.
Yep. Oh, it's
concussive shell.
A second later.
Yeah, concussive shell isn't done. Now it is. Just as the Protoss gets away.
Again.
Yep. Probably sitting in his chair laughing, saying, I'm glad I dedicated this game because my Stalker got away.
Oh. Wow. Warp Gate is going to be done by the time at least the second wave of reinforcements gets across for the Terran player, so that's going to be nice. And Believe's going to have 3 gateways worth of reinforcements, so he's got a very, very, very high chance of not just dying right away.
Protoss Stalker Zealot Sentry. Pretty standard opening versus a gas Terran. The force field though, nope, a little too late. He could have had some free units there, but nevertheless, I think he's going to be able to hold this Nexus fine once he gets his first warp in.
He should, yeah. It's going to take a little bit of decent control, but he should be fine. And it looks like Killer does want to try to push the issue, and he's going to kite with that concussive shell. And there's not a lot to help with that. Those Zealots go down very quickly.
Protoss is target firing down those Marauders. Very smart. Does lose a Stalker, though.
He's going to lose a probe or two, it looks like.
Yeah,
that's a little bit
not moving the probes. He is going to hold on to this Nexus just fine, though. Not even taking hull damage. Saving that Sentry.
And the Terran's going to back up. Believe now in a pretty great position. The command center just about a quarter of the way done for Killer. So Believe's got to be a lot happier now.
Yep.
Maybe now's a more appropriate time for him to be laughing.
Pretty good hold by the Protoss player. Very nice target firing. And yeah, was able to secure him that lead.
He's going to be in a nice spot. He's putting down a robo base so he can get an observer into his opponent's base just to make sure there's not some kind of crazy follow-up all-in coming. He can verify for sure that a second base is going down, and then Believe's probably just going to be really happy with where he is right now.
Yep. And our Protoss player still has no idea about our Terran player's natural, but he's going to find out soon enough. And he does have units at home, so even if he was to get, you know, a follow-up push coming up into his main, I think he would still be fine, or at least able to hold on.
Yeah, and at that point, I mean, he's got so many probes, he can just defend with probes as well as his army, crush the army that Killer would have at that point, and then Killer would still only be on one base, so.
Yep. I think our barracks here is going to stay here the entire game. It's not going to move.
Good. I mean, the reactor's not very mobile.
Yeah, exactly.
You could lift that up and put the starport down there and start reactor, have medevacs right away out
Yep.
in the open.
You sneaky reactor. So one observer.
Protoss units can't steal it. Like Terran players can steal each other's add-ons, but Protoss don't have anything that can use it.
Gateway on a tech lab.
Oh man, can you imagine? That's how you make.
That's how you make immortals, yeah. So 2 observers out. I love seeing this out of Protoss players. You know, you don't really need it like super ASAP, but it is great for, you know, watching this mid lane to see if the Terran is going for your 3rd or natural.
Yep.
Or if he's just going to keep going. Yep, he
Well,
paid attention. It's
Stim is
also...
done, and the Protoss player now knows it because for some reason Killer stimmed 5 Marines to kill a Zealot at the Watchtower. He's not going to be able to do anything with this. Oh,
Ooh.
field.
Nope, still going to get 3 Marines. Very nice pickup.
Well,
Units lost tab 200 behind on our Terran player, but the real story is probably the fact that our Protoss had such an earlier expansion, you know. Even if the Terran player hasn't lost that much more, the Protoss is mined so much more money that his, you know, he's taking 12 supply lead. He's taking his 3rd right now. Protoss is in a great position.
Quick 3rd. This medevac timing is about to hit the 2 medevacs coming across. That 3rd may have to be cancelled, but if not, those medevacs can still lift up units and take them to the main. But nice.
Ooh.
Except for those 2.
Terran getting a little ahead of himself, trying to move in before he had the rest of his army and medevacs.
Well, the Protoss player just kind of
He
did
punished.
a bunch of favors by the way he ran into those force fields down there and lost a lot more than he should have.
And this Colossus going to spell the end for any Terran aggression for the next 3 or 4 minutes.
He's going to be able to hold that off, but he lost a lot more units than he probably would have wanted to, so he's not going to be able to even really poke out towards the Terran at all.
So Terran is still 0-0, no upgrades on the way. Protoss is at 1 armor, adding on a 2nd forge. So if this, I mean, if this Terran isn't careful, this Protoss is going to pull way ahead in upgrades.
Yep.
So
We have a 3rd base going down for the Terran player at his 3rd location right now, which is a little bit strange of itself, right? Terran players usually go for a really quick 3rd command center in their domain just so they can get another orbital up and they can take their 3rd whenever they're comfy with it. But Killer just feels a little bit behind from where he would like to be and where any Terran wants to be at this phase of the game.
Now this is
runs into a Colossus.
This is dangerous. I don't know. You know, he's probably in, you know, the position where he feels like he needs to do damage to come back, but, you know, at this point he really has no business pulling little maneuvers like that.
Yeah.
So he knows the 3rd is going to be well defended. You know, if anything he can drop.
Yep. If you're going to go anywhere with a group of units that small, why go
Yeah.
somewhere that's accessible by land?
Exactly.
2nd starport going on for Killer as he's obviously has seen the Colossi multiple times now, so he knows he's going to have to deal with those, and they're quite a hefty threat if you don't have a lot of Vikings.
We do have, you know, close to 15 probe lead on this Terran, which, you know, because of mules is not extremely, you know, big of a deficit for the Terran player, but it's still not the kind of position he wants to be in.
Yeah, especially when he's down by a full, like 20% in army or in supply. That's still rather substantial.
So finally getting his double up started. The Terran's going to have 1-1, but I think the Protoss is probably going to have 1-1 and maybe even 2 armor before the Terran's 1-1, depending on how he chronos it.
Yep. Ooh, those Vikings getting a nice position, doing a lot of damage to that Colossus for free, and they can take it out if they...
Stalkers have no blink.
One Colossus goes down for the cost of a Viking. That's a pretty good trade for the Terran, as long as he doesn't do it so many times that there are still Colossi left with no Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, that